But back home now, the latest ONS figures paint a bleak picture of Britain blighted by crime, which comes, of course, as no surprise to us at all. And there is no part of this nation that remains untouched by what we could call wrong-uns. As always, Sadiq Khan's London takes centre stage. Knife and gun offences have leapt by 20%. Last year, ONS statistics show more than 14,000 knife offences were recorded by police in London in 2023. There's also been a spike in violent robberies, teen homicides and incidents involving firearms. So, is there any coming back from this? We shall see. Let's now speak to former Metropolitan Police Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville. Mike, good to talk to you. Nice to see you. Thanks very much indeed.
Nice to see you, Mike.
I see one of the figures that we didn't put into that little mix there was the shoplifting figures, which have also risen to an all-time high. I mean, I was talking only yesterday about shoplifting because Sadiq Khan was asked, what would you do if you saw somebody shoplifting some nappies or some baby food? And he said, oh, I'd probably take my wallet out and pay for them. And you just go, mate, you're in charge of the Metropolitan Police. Surely to God, you should at least give the impression of wanting law and order to be upheld.
I mean, yesterday, Mike, I was outside Charing Cross Police Station, at Charing Cross Railway Station, and somebody tried to rob my phone. They rode by on a bike.
Yeah.
They tried to grab my phone. They failed to get my phone, but they grabbed a guy next to me. And it just seems like we're living in a lawless situation.
Yeah.
As you say, the shoplifting now has come to a point where every single person feels entitled to steal. You know, there's so much people, you can't buy coffee in a normal shop. You've got to ask for it behind the counter because, you know, those things, those items that are so easy to sell on. Where do we go from there? How do we reduce it? I mean, the biggest thing for in my view, is the biggest failing with the police is the use of CCTV. Nearly every one of the crimes you've mentioned, so shoplifting, robberies, when people have robbed somebody and escaped, there's a video of them nearby in the street. The police have a complete failure to deal with CCTV evidence properly. Yeah. That's the way they could crack down on this crime, but they seem seemingly unwilling to do so.
Yeah. Is that an issue of manpower, if you like? Is it because they haven't got anybody to trawl through it? I mean, remember the Azidi case where the guy was wanted for several days. Then it appeared that he was on CCTV walking up and down the river in London. He was captured on quite a lot of it, but it wasn't really found until after he'd walked past and eventually thrown himself in the river.
Well, what they've got, you see, what you have is you have a national fingerprint database and a national DNA database, but they haven't got the systems to deal with images. So if you leave your fingerprints in Bolton, Bournemouth and Belfast, you will be identified, the same with DNA.
Yeah.
But the CCTV systems, they aren't set up like that. So some of these people who are shoplifting, they don't commit one offence. They commit 10 a day.
Right.
And those 10 cases, if they're put together, these guys will go to jail. But the police don't have any systems to do that. They're not very good at digital evidence. And I get the impression that a lot of senior police officers are not too bothered about crime at the moment. It just doesn't seem to interest them.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, I know for a fact, as I'm sure you do, that there are various kind of alerts that you can get hold of, and I have several of them from news sources that I have, where you find that there's a gang roaming up and down Park Lane, for example, stealing people's watches. Now, that's in real time that I'm getting that information. The police must know that there's a group of 4 young men, youths, walking around, or sometimes on bicycles, basically hitting people up and taking their watches. And that's going on even as they speak. So those kids are robbing people. The police must know about it. And if they watch CCTV, if they don't want to do anything else, surely they must be able to capture them.
Well, there would be. And as a victim of crime, I'm not being funny. If my phone had gone yesterday, I'd willingly watch the CCTV myself to say to the police, I'll help you. I'll do this. And if you look at victims of burglary, in the last 10 years, the detection rate has gone from 15% to 5%. So really woeful at 15%, treble woeful at 5%. But during that last 10 years, 40% of households have invested in CCTV or some Ring doorbell. So people have all this footage. They have all the evidence to give to the police, but the police have not the systems to deal with it, and they don't seem to have the will to crack crime. It just seems to be that they've turned into some sort of a reporting agency, because people only report crime if there's a benefit. So last night, I sort of said, oh, this guy next to me has been robbed, but why would I report it myself? My phone hasn't gone missing. People report it if their car's been stolen or the house has been burgled, and there's a benefit in the sense you need a reference number because of insurance. Right. But you don't. the sad thing is all people want is a crime number. They've simply given up on the fact that the police might catch the thief, the burglar, or the rapist.
Right. And also the police are always now in the frame for the wrong reasons. You know, we saw the Nottingham police still getting into trouble over their WhatsApp messages just this week. We've seen the Metropolitan Police under Sir Mark Rowley once again being shown up to have the completely wrong attitude about policing marches, particularly the pro-Palestine marches, you know, telling Jewish people that they shouldn't walk across the road. I mean, it just seems like they get it wrong all the time. And it's almost as though they've become a sort of police force just for protest movements.
Well, that's right. I mean, where do we go, you know, with the lack of confidence in policing? So we've gone for a police force which we've been told was so politically correct that has gone out of its way to be woke. And we've got a situation where Jewish people don't feel safe to walk around in London. Right. That's the really bizarre situation that we have. How can that be? That we've gone to a situation where never before is a situation where one kind of minority thought they weren't safe to walk around in London. So for 20 years, the police have been converted into this absolute politically correct organisation. But it's like everything today. Everything is a facade. It's everything what they say and not what they do. It's all words and not action.
Yeah, and people do want to see action. Have you got any hope for the Labour Party if they get in at the next election?
None whatsoever. I just think none whatsoever, because we've got sort of two political parties and their sort of stratlines seems to be vote for me because I'm not as bad as the other lot. Yeah. You know, and that's really awful, isn't it? What kind of choice is that the public are being offered? And it's really sad that we've got to this situation in democracy. But from a policing point of view, we could do so much more. And we need to have a situation where people feel safe on the streets, whether they're white or black, Gentile or Jew or or whatever you are, gay or straight. Everybody should feel safe and on the street and in their own home.
Yeah, if only that was true. Mike, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Mike Neville there, former Metropolitan Police officer, of course. Now.